Hi guys, and welcome to my first pregnancy update. If you saw my announcement video, you know that I am pregnant, and that feels so weird. It just feels so surreal in a way, because I always dreamed about becoming a mother, but now it's happening. And of course, there's nothing much to see when I look at my belly, and I haven't had an ultrasound yet. So sometimes I think to myself that I just skip a period. But I have all these pregnancy symptoms, and the pregnancy test was positive, so I know I'm pregnant, but it just feels very strange. Now I'm going to film updates quite frequently, and today's update is about the first 5 weeks of my pregnancy. I took all those together because the symptoms were roughly the same, and I only found out in week 5 that I was pregnant. So here we go. Now we told you a little bit about how we found out that I was pregnant. And usually my period begins at day 28, so it's not always the same. Sometimes it's a little longer or shorter, but my last 2 periods were at day 28. So day 28 was December 31, the last day of 2015. Now I remember that I was at the grocery store on the 31st of December. Because I was buying some treats to celebrate New Year's, oliebollen. That's just something like apple fritters, I guess. And I was walking through the grocery store, and suddenly I felt really nauseous. And I'm not used to feeling nauseous out of the blue. So then I thought, well, maybe I'm pregnant. I mean, my period didn't begin and I had this nausea, and it was pretty intense too, so I rushed out of the store because I didn't want to start throwing up there. And fortunately I didn't throw up, and I think the nausea lasted about 20 minutes and then it was gone. So I thought, well, maybe it's just something that I ate this afternoon, because I had one of those oliebollen, something like apple fritters, on my work that afternoon. Now, aside from this nausea, I had some other symptoms that I thought would maybe be pregnancy symptoms. I was very emotional, so I would cry, I would laugh, and then the second later I would cry again. I was very irritable, and I was really hungry all the time. And apart from that, my boobs really hurt, and usually I don't like to wear bras, but those weeks I really wanted to wear bras because that's made everything a little more comfortable in this area. So that was something unusual. And well, all these symptoms together and me not getting my periods, me and my husband, we said to each other, well, let's take a pregnancy test at day 31. So that was January 3. And so we took the test, but it was negative. And then I thought, well, I'm going to get my period probably late this month. That has happened a few times before. My longest cycle ever was 40 days. So we decided to wait until day 41. And if I didn't get my period that day, we would take another test. So yes, the first test was negative. So, you know, we just forgot about it and continued with the everyday life. But as the days passed by and I didn't get my periods, I began to think again, well, maybe I am pregnant, because pregnancy tests aren't always positive the first time when you test early. So I began to think about it again, and the symptoms that I described stayed. So day 41 came around, and I still did not have my period. And I woke up really early that day, and my bladder was really full. It was 5 a.m. and Daniel was still asleep, so I thought, well, what shall I do? I really have to go to the toilet, and he is asleep. So I got out of bed because I couldn't sleep anymore because of my full bladder. And I took a shower, I made some breakfast, and but then I really had to pee. So I decided to just take the test on my own, and I would let Daniel know what the outcome would be later when he woke up. So I took the tests, and immediately the second line appeared. So I was really shocked because I just didn't expect to be pregnant despite of all the symptoms. It's just so weird that, well, I've never been pregnant before, and you hear sometimes that couples have to try for a year or longer before they get pregnant, and here I am holding the pregnancy tests, and the second line appeared immediately. So I felt really shocked and also very happy because I have dreamed of becoming a mother my entire life. And it was just so surreal to think that it was going to happen now. So I walked through the house thinking, what should I do? How am I going to tell Daniel this? Because he was still asleep at the time. I think it was about 6 o'clock or 6:15 or something. So eventually I decided to put the pregnancy test in a little bag, and I hid it so when he would wake up and come out of the bed he wouldn't see it immediately. Now Daniel woke up and I just pretended that nothing was the matter, and we said to each other, well, let's take the pregnancy test. So I pretended to go to the toilet and take the test, and then I got back to the living room where he was waiting, and I handed him the little bag with the test, and I told him, well, let's have a look, and I pretended to not know what the outcome was. So he opened the bag and he saw the 2 lines, and he was really shocked as well and really happy. And we just sat on the couch together for a while, really feeling overwhelmed and happy, and all these emotions went through our minds. And yeah, like I said, it was so surreal, but we were really surprised and happy. Now, I didn't plan to go to my doctor, my GP, I think you call it, for my pregnancy, but I had an appointment for something else that morning, the morning that I found out I was pregnant. So that was really convenient because I wanted to talk to my doctor about the supplements that I used. So when it was time to go to the doctor's appointments, that was about 9 o'clock I think, I went there and I told my GP that I was pregnant, and I discussed all the supplements that I use with her. And I use vitamin D, and she said it's alright to keep using that because it's quite a high doses, because last year I had some blood work done and my vitamin D was really low. So from that point on I started taking a high doses of vitamin D, and for now I can keep taking that. And apart from that I take also a multivitamin, and turns out it didn't have enough folic acid, and it had some but not enough, so my doctor recommended that I bought that. And I also use this, it's some sort of enzyme that helps digest histamine, and she told me that it was okay to keep using that, and I was really happy with it because it really helps with the symptoms, to reduce the symptoms of my histamine intolerance. So that was great, and I had some blood work done that morning at the doctor's office. She tested 2 things, and I'm not sure how to translate it. HB and glucose. I'm sure you all know glucose, but HB, let me see what Google tells me. So I guess you just call it hemoglobin in English. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's what she tested. So those 2 things were perfectly fine. Now let me see, I took some notes. What else I wanted to tell you. Now I also called the midwife's office to schedule an appointment, and that's planned for the 1st week of February. So that's still a few weeks from now, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to the ultrasound, just to make sure that everything is fine, and I'm really curious if it is 1 or maybe 2 babies. Daniel is really hoping that we are having twins, but I would rather have just 1 child at a time. But we'll see. We have twins in the family, so I will keep you updated. So I guess this is it for now. Let me check my notes one more time. Yes, maybe about my symptoms. They stayed roughly the same through week 4 and 5, I think. Yes, so I was really hungry, my boobs really hurt, and I was quite emotional. But apart from that, I felt quite good, so that's great. And yes, this is everything. I've told you everything for this first 5 weeks. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!
A bust of shock. Just almost hyperventilating.
Oh, yeah.
Crying.
Crying and laughing. She was just over the moon happy.
Over the moon. Over the moon.
And I think she was maybe waiting for it to happen a little bit.
Yeah.
Or at least hoping. I know she's very happy.
She desperately wanted it.
Well. And